Hello, hello, hello. I'm so happy to be here sharing some potent transmissions about this beautiful Venusian gateway that is opening up. You may feel the doorways already starting to open as Venus went direct today. And I want to just bring in a little bit of that frequency here to get us into the space. This is 3,539.68 hertz, which is the tone of Venus. One more. So I wanted to pop in and share some insights about this gateway that is opening because it is going to bring up a lot for humanity. There is a massive shift that's coming to the planet, and so many of you already are feeling it, so many of you are living it, some of you are taking part in the activations that are coming through. And really, I wanted to give a bit of a backstory about what this gateway that is opening up is all about and what types of memories and information and experiences you may have over the next 23, 24, 25 days as the full gateway opens up on the 2nd of February and it goes until the 22nd of February. And really what we are looking at, this gateway, so today we had Venus going direct, and when we hit the 2nd, we are going to be opening up what's called the Venusian gateway. And this is opening up between cathedral sites in the planet. So on our Earth planet, cathedral site, the hub gate of the cathedral sites, which is in Siesta Key, and the cathedral site that is on Venus. Now, we have a direct link between those cathedral sites, and we have a direct link opening up between planetary stargate number 2, which is also in the Sarasota area of Florida, and galactic stargate 2, which is of our solar system, our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, the stargate there, number 2 is on Venus. So the two stargates, right, we're linking and sequencing through the same number codes. So the stargate here and the stargate that is on Venus is going to be opening up this bridge to connect between the two cathedral sites. Now, I've shared a little bit before in other videos. I'm going to give a little bit back. I'm going to backtrack a little bit and go through this again because this aspect of understanding your Venusian golden seed and this aspect of your oversoul that is on Venus, hibernating on Venus, that is a part of what we know as 144,000, which is actually, if you saw my story on this, is actually like millions and millions and millions of people, because when we break down that anatomy from 144,000 oversouls, and then we step down into soul, and we step down into human, right? We keep down stepping, and it spreads out and out and out and out, right? So we're talking about millions and millions of people that make up these 144 oversouls that have been in hibernation on Venus at the cathedral site since the fall of Tara. So I'm going to go back in time with you for a moment. And while many of you may not know the language of Tara, we'll mention what that is in a moment, a lot of you probably have heard of Lemuria and the continent of Mu. And this moment in time when Lemuria was this beautiful experience of divine feminine energy and expansion and connection. And if you have memories of it, it's very etheric, very ephemeral, and very fluid because we were not in physical three-dimensional bodies. We were in the higher dimensions because we were on Tara at the time, which is the density 2 version of the Earth. So we're looking at dimensions 4, 5, and 6, right? So we ascend out of the physical material bodies that are here in density 1. So if you have memories of the Lemurian days, then these memories are much more in bodies that are like what's the good, like plasma light, kind of opalescent, like light bodies that are really just beautiful and fluid and open and expansive and quite large, right? So Lemuria, that continent, was on the planet of Tara. And over 500 million years ago, so we're like 560 million years, 570 million years, is when the planet Tara fell and basically got um, destroyed because of the Star Wars that have been happening for a very long time. And I'm going to go into a moment in time that's really important because we're actually linking into that moment in time through this gateway that's opening up. And a lot of memory of Tara, of the fall, of Lemuria is going to come flooding back into the cells of the body, and a lot of information and codes are going to be revealed. So we're going to just unpack it to help everyone really understand like what is happening on the planet and in our galaxy. Okay, so there was what we call the Priestesses of Ur back in Lemuria. And these priestesses, because it was a very feminine, Lemuria is a divine feminine, androgynous, but carrying the codes for the divine feminine much more predominantly than our current experience has been. That being said, so the priestesses of Ur were very advanced Christian beings, and they were the oracles and the seers and the luminaries and the messengers, really holding the codes with the Ayani race lines, which are also Christian race lines. And they knew that the greater wars that were happening in Orion and Lyra, the Star Wars that were going on, were eventually going to come to what we know as Earth, that being said, to come to Tara. And they knew that the planet was going to be destroyed. Because these were advanced seers, they knew the future. They knew how the probabilities, and they knew that it was more than likely going to happen that Tara was going to be going into a fall zone, and that they were going to have to leave the plane. And many people were not able to leave Tara before it fell, and there is a lot of deep trauma held in the spirit bodies around the fall of Tara. At the same time, we had the fall of Lyra happening and the Orion Wars, and it was just a really, really difficult time for life beyond just this earth. And I just like to give pause a moment of silence for that, because I feel it deeply in my body still. And I'm processing and integrating all of the memories as they happen in real time. So the priestesses of Ur, basically they wanted to protect the Christic code that was going to be destroyed, moving forward on the planet and the density 1 body of Earth. So the Orifeme, the original angelic human template that carried 12 to 24 strands of DNA, and 12 strands is really 24 strands because they're 12 double helix, which makes 24 strands of DNA. So the original angelic humans was going to be compromised, and they knew that this was coming. So what they did was they sent an aspect of the oversoul. So here we have our physical body. Let's just go into a little spirit body anatomy for a moment. We have our physical body, then we have our mental body, right? So this is our mental body. It goes from ear to ear, it extends around, and we have our astral body, which is our emotional body that is around our body. And we have our soul, right? Our higher mind, causal mind. And we have our causal body, right? Which is going to be our soul and our higher mind. Then we go out even further and we go into our oversoul, which is going to be because we are, imagine everything life like a Russian stacking doll. So we're inside and inside, 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 inside. So we're inside these larger bodies as well, right? So Tara was actually hosted inside of a larger planetary body called Eartha that did not fall. And some of the dimensions of 13th dimension that we do activations. We actually go to Eartha in our plasma bodies and experience deep and profound healing there. Anyways, so when we had this moment in time, the Priestesses of Ur had assembled a large group of people, beings at the time, to basically take their coding and go to the cathedral site on Venus and enter into a hibernation period. So they entered into a hibernation zone. And in this hibernation zone, basically there is no contact, no connection, and it's isolation that allows for whatever's in that isolation, whatever's in that hibernation zone to be protected from any external interference or any external influence in any way, shape, or form. So the 144,000 that have been in hibernation now since the fall of Tara on Venus, right? So many different words. I hope everyone is following along, and just go back and listen to this a few times as you need to. Okay, so we have this moment, and now we're having the oversoul that is in hibernation on Venus, right? And they have been in hibernation on Venus for over 500 million years. And they have been preserving the code, the Christic code of our full DNA potential. They have also been holding the memories of life pre-fall. This is very important because this is what's going to be really activating for people over the next several weeks, okay? Because the memory was also taken, right? So when you come into life on Earth, you have no memory of who you were before you came in here. You have no memory of who you are after you leave here, where you're going. There's no memory. You come in like, I'm just a human, and that's not the truth, right? We are so much more than just this body. And that memory lock was because the current body, the human body, has 4 strands of DNA intact, 2 double helix, 4 strands of DNA, right? And the second strand of DNA during this whole fall got frozen, essentially, right? We could just simplify it and say it's been frozen. And we've not been able to access beyond that second strand, right? Which means that we have been locked into the sacral center, which is our second gate. And we've also been locked into the second dimension of consciousness and these lower bandwidths of the lower dimensions, right? So that lock, then, if we think about all the 2s linking together, Venus being Galactic Stargate number 2, and the cathedral site there, they basically have been preserving the code past the second strand of DNA because that has been frozen. And the Priestesses of Ur knew this was going to happen, and this is why they created this whole elaborate plan, which sounds, a little bit bonkers at times. I know, been there, worked through all the things, and there's just not a single ounce of me that doesn't know that this is absolute truth because I'm living the experience of it now. And, I am just encouraging you to tune in and to have these experiences so that you're not relying on me or anyone else for your truth. You start to have the lived experiences of these memories in your body. That's really where the magic is at. So this gateway that is opening up is going to do many things. One is going to be linking us into Venus and giving us a very rare opportunity to actually awaken the Venusian oversoul that is in the cathedral site there on Venus. What that means is that humanity has finally gotten to a place, and we have been preparing for this, right? The activations that have been coming through on the planet since the summer of last year, and really before that. That being said, we really initiated this sequence in the summer of last year when we started reclaiming the gate sites and we started reclaiming the planetary Templar, where we have gone and we have completely corrected the reversals in the Merkabah spin that were happening. That was a result of the fall. The Merkabah spin has been corrected at a planetary level now. That actually completes today. That activation began back in December has been spiraling forward and completed today, right? So we are actually in a space where we can start to develop our greater technology, because if the planetary Templar was still hijacked, was still compromised, was still in a reversal spin, like, it would not be safe or insecure for us to start to develop the technology of our DNA and to bring back our memories, because we would still be plugged in to the very dense reversals that have created this whole reality of deep suffering and disease and scarcity and lack and death, right? Which is not a natural phenomenon. So from this standpoint, when this gateway is opening, we have this very rare and very auspicious opportunity to awaken this aspect of our oversoul and to start to bridge that connection, which will allow actually to downstep, because everything is downstepping frequency. We are always a dimension above and looking inward, right? So what this will allow is, because our oversoul is above our soul, we will actually be able to shift our consciousness up into our oversoul body and look down inward from there, which will actually set off a cascade event of souls, the causal body, soul level, to actually start to come into the body, right? So like soul embodiment will actually start to be able to happen spontaneously. It will spontaneously start to happen in people all over the world, right? And this is going to be like, you know, several of you that are watching this video, because you've been with me for years and years now through my whole journey, you have awoken like years ago, and that was a huge wave of awakening. Now this is going to be an even larger, massive planetary level of awakening, because now that the planetary Templar has been corrected so that it's no longer in the reversal, spinning in reverse in opposition, we are actually going to see hundreds of millions and billions of people spontaneously awakening as their causal body, soul level, can finally land in their bodies. Right? This is very exciting. Do a little happy dance. That's why I'm wearing the sparkles, to express like, this is what we came here for. Okay, so that's the first huge thing that's going to be happening, right? People's oversouls are going to start to be able to come into their bodies, and it's going to happen spontaneously, and there's really not going to need to be a whole lot of preparation, because it's just going to be like, whoosh. Oh my gosh, everything that I've been told here was like a total lie, and I'm able to actually come up into the higher centers in the body, right? So that's the big thing that's going to happen. The next big thing that's going to happen is that, because this is keeping our memory, is a flood of memories from the fall of Tara, from Lemuria, are going to become available in the body. Now, memory is a tremendous energy. And when these energies come from within, because all of these memories are held in your DNA, and our DNA is all of our junk DNA that has been like, this is junk, but really it's like all the fragments from the fall. When the fall happened, the rest of our strands of DNA basically exploded and are like tiny little fragments of DNA that are still in our body, right? So all of the memory that starts to come back together will be like, imagine it like little tiny like sparks coming together, right? Like the separate fragments of DNA are like little sparks, or little flecks of light, right? And as they start to come together through this gateway, they're going to spark, right? And when this happens, there's a pretty big spark of energy that happens internally as these memories start to come back online. So there's going to be a great influx of energy that comes through the planet as well. And these memories, when they come online, you know, for a lot of people, they're going to come through and they're going to be very shocking and alarming, because they're going to remember things about their experience, about their life, about coming into this plane, about why things are the way they are, that are going to make them very upset. And they're also going to make them simultaneously feel crazy, right? Because we have not been told about the real story of life on earth and all of that, what goes beyond it. So when people start to have these memories come in, it's going to be, shocking. And I know that several of you have had those moments, and I know that because we've talked about it, where you were like, I am going absolutely crazy here. Like, believe me, I know. Had the moments where I was like, someone better lock me up because I've lost my damn mind. And I'm really grateful that I did, because losing your mind is the best way to actually find your higher mind and the wisdom in you. So it's going to be a difficult period for people having these memories just spontaneously coming back online in their body, and the influx of energy that those memories are going to hold, and the access, because you're going to start to be able to access the third and fourth strands, so the second aspect of the double helix, right? And that is then going to allow for the development of the next strands of DNA, which will take some time. It's not going to just spontaneously happen. And this process of really bringing your body's template back in line, it's not an easy process. And I really like to explain to people in the best way, without fear, that it is a very difficult journey that we are all embarking on, being on the planet right now and being guardians of the earth and being guardians of the planetary Templar and being the spirits chosen to basically restore the Christic code of this body. That is a difficult process that is life altering and shattering and dissolving and dissolution. It requires facing death like over and over and over again and dissolving through it. And it requires taking in massive amounts of energy that cause the body to do a lot of things that we have been sold the lie that those things are problems. We have been sold the lie that a lot of our activation of our template and the symptoms that start the symptoms, really the experiences that start to happen when your full body starts to come back online, are problems, are diseases, are issues that we need to treat with the things that you pop into your mouth that I'm not going to say, because then they'll like filter my video, right? All the different things that are happening to basically convince people that what they know and what they are awakening to is not real, right? It's like when millions of people are knowing this to be true and are having the same exact memories come online and are having the same exact experiences, like, that is not a coincidence, right? That is not a coincidence. That should be taken seriously as something really important for humanity, as something really important for all of us to really understand that, like, we are so much more than this body, and we chose to come on the planet at a very interesting time where we would have to do really difficult work on the body to allow destiny to actually penetrate this body, and shifting completely out of the ego virus of the body being in the driver's seat and allowing spirit to actually take over the body. Like, there are so many mechanisms. This body has been in a state of dysfunction for hundreds of millions of years, y'all. Like, that is deep, 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 deep trauma. That is trauma that parts of us can't even understand. And when that trauma starts to awaken in our bodies through these memories, through these experiences, it's real. It's real, intense and profound and beautiful. And if you don't have a support system around you, this is when people end up, getting institutionalized or getting, put on things to make this problem stop, to make problems stop. When you have a solid support system around you, who have experienced this, who have gone through this, y'all, I have gone through all of these experiences and then some in my journey of getting to where I am now, and in my journey of walking into this body. Like, that shit was difficult and profound and beautiful and life altering beyond words. And like, it has prepared me now, because I get messages daily from people inside the 13th dimension or other programs where they're going through the activations and all this stuff starts happening in their body, and they're like, all the things that I know are going to happen. anxiety, panic, doubt, fear. I want this to stop. Make this stop. Begging for this to stop because we have been sold a story that these experiences are not normal when they're actually the most normal thing to happen, especially in this moment of time where it's all about transforming our bodies into what they actually were before all this fall happened. And now the planet is actually ready for these changes. And this gateway that's opening is like going to be just blasting us with the codes, with the memories. And, not everyone will go and awaken. Okay, so here's the thing, right? We talked about how the 144,000 oversouls that were sent to Venus to be in hibernation zone to preserve these codes, that is actually like hundreds of millions of people linked together, because that, an oversoul is not one person, it is a lot of people, right? It's 144 souls, and then those 144 souls all break down into 12 again. So you're splitting down, splitting down, splitting down, splitting down. And it's really millions of people. So what I've observed is that think of it like a bullseye. So the center of the bullseye, is there anything over here? Yeah, so let's look at this guy here. This is you can't really see it probably because it's a little far away, but this is a body, right? So let's say the activation is coming in down into this body here, right? Or coming down into this body. You can see this one down here a little bit. So activation is coming in, and then what does it do? It ripples out, right? It ripples out, right? It ripples out. And this, say, is the oversoul that's awakening, then that energy is going to ripple out, right? And this is going to get the energy the most intensely, right? And is going to be stabilizing the energy. This person is going to be stabilizing the energy for all the other people that are actually linked up to the same oversoul. So not every single person on the planet is going to need to go through the intensity that many of us are going through and will go through, that are in a role of greater responsibility to actually run the flames when they're coming through, to actually participate in the activations as they're happening, and to be the ones that are going first, right? The ones that are basically waking up to these energies, going through these activations first, so that the outer parts of our soul group, our soul family, they have an easier journey running the energy, right? So when this gateway opens, it's not like every single person is going to beam up to Venus and activate and awaken their oversoul. And all of them might not even actually awaken at this time, because this is a gateway that someone in your team has to participate in, right? Someone has to participate in it, because another oversoul is not going to wake up another one. Like, there has to be ground crew basically saying, like, the human body, someone down here in this dimension is ready to run this flame, right? And if no one is ready to run the flame is not going to start running for that oversoul group, right? And then they'll wait till the next passage that opens up and is available. However, this one is going to be a massive one where a lot of people are consciously and unconsciously participating, right? And the memories that are then going to trickle out are going to be vast. A lot of people are going to spontaneously awaken over the next month. And so we are going to see then phenomenal changes start to take place in the months to follow. And we might also see some pushback happen in the months to follow, right? The pushback that happens when, it's like a toddler that is having its toy taken away. It's not going to just give its toy away and like be all groovy. Like, it's going to push back against having its toy taken away. So ultimately, like, we are entering into a beautiful and profound moment in time, right? Where these memories of Lemuria, where these memories of the fall are going to become available, where people are going to start to be able to access bringing their causal body into their body in a way that, masses of people have not been able to do on this planet very, very, very long time. I mean, it's really hard for us when we're just operating in our like physical three-dimensional reality to conceive hundreds of millions of years. What? We've been told that we only live for like 80 years if we're lucky, and you want me to like think about being hundreds of millions of years old and like this drama going all the way back to like 560 million years ago? You want me to like try to conceive that in my body? It's not necessarily super easy. So um, it's going to be a really profound moment for us all. And the mission that I have been on with this, because I went through awakening my Venusian oversoul 2 months ago in an accelerated journey through a brain technology that I was working with, and basically went through this whole piece, the whole activation, and then have been getting all of the information to bring through for this moment in time, as I often will be more towards the center and getting the most intense pulses. And then my role is to speak them out, spread them out so that other people really understand like what is coming, how to run the frequency. So here's the biggest thing, like why actively participating in planetary activations is so transformative, is because I get messages daily from people who are not actively participating in the activations, meaning they're not showing up and actively running them through their template in the way that that activation is meant to be run through your template. And they still get the activation though. Like the activation is coming through the planet. Everyone's getting it, whether you are actively running it or not. If you're not actively running it though in the sequence that it's designed to be run through your spirit bodies, and your spirit bodies aren't actually working in that sequence yet because of all the reversals and the distortions and all the things that have happened since that fall, it ends up being like way more difficult, right? And ends up being like not feeling well or feeling lethargic or a lot of emotional breakdowns and all these different things that can happen. And it will stretch out over a longer period of time. Whereas when you start to actively run and participate in the activations, like the process begins to be a lot more efficient and a lot more ease filled. Right? And that's really what it's all about, like efficiency and ease build, ease filled grace. Right? So from that standpoint, then we are really encouraging everyone to participate in the activations that are coming through, to whether it's coming into the container that I've created for this, the Venusian Golden Year, where we are going to be running the activations when they're run, which is the 2nd, the 11th, and the 22nd of February. And we're going to be working directly. So another aspect of creating greater ease with this is actually working with the consciousness of Venus, that is one of the luminary planets that has not fallen in our system. You can actually work with that planet consciousness to help accelerate and help stabilize the experience in your body here, so that it is not so jarring as this information starts to come back on. And that's really what we're going to be doing in those 20 days, is working deeply and devotionally with the planet of Venus and with our oversoul that we're going to be opening up that connection with on the 2nd, and really journeying through this whole gateway together to bring about great healing to these deep, deep spirit body traumas of the fall, and that manifest in our lives through the shadows of feeling unworthy, feeling abandoned, feeling neglected, feeling self-critical and self-doubt and self-judgment, like all the things where we really turn against ourselves, are all of the byproducts of this moment in time, of this fall, right? Because there's parts of our deep spirit body levels and the memory in the body that's still there, it's just currently fragmented, that says it was my fault, like I'm to blame for this fall, right? I'm not worthy of God's love, or worthy of support, or worthy of like my immortality and my infinite nature, and like all these deep things that are the byproduct of this moment in time of this fall. And we are going to be really intentionally moving through them with a lot of support, a lot of grace, a lot of love, and a lot of healing, and also bridging the connection with Venus to support us during this time. So I wanted to just come in and just help you to really understand like the significance of what's happening in February, the significance of what's happening for the planet, and invite you to come in and join us if you are feeling resonant to like go deep and to transform and to be a way shower and a flame runner and to be the one that can, be a support to others and can be a support to yourself. And you know that you're here to run the flames and to bring that higher consciousness and to bring love and devotion and spirit and Christ consciousness back to the planet. Then you're invited to come in and be a part of the Venusian golden year with myself and the I don't know how many people we have signed up right now, 30 or something people that are going to be in this space so far. And we begin on the 2nd. I can't wait, even though today they're actually going to be getting a video about setting up your altar space and setting up your ceremonial space, because it's going to be a deep month of ceremony and devotion and just like if you remember aspects of your experience, like we're basically going to be walking a path that our Lemurian selves walked. And that is also going to be helping us to bridge this connection to these ancient memories within us. So walking this path that our Lemurian selves walked, which is like daily ritual, daily devotion, daily ceremony, and really recognizing that everything is working in our favor and starting to have some miraculous experiences of change and transformation. And on the other side of this portal, for everyone who actively participates and like shows up and does the work and does the healing and like moves through this, like we get the magnification of the second cathedral site, which is one of the only, or the second gate site on planet Earth, which is one of the only gate sites that did not fall, right? And the energy of the exalted Venus, which is abundance of love, abundance of resources, abundance of time, but an abundance of energy. Venus is like one of our luminaries, so it's illumination of the Christ consciousness, it's illumination of physical support, it's an illumination of financial resources, of energetic resources, right? All of this beauty that comes through this experience, like I can't even like trying to describe it to you, but it's really just so ineffable. So I'm going to end it with just bringing in this frequency. And inviting you into the Venusian golden year space with me. Sending you lots of love.